In Defense of Omnivorism. Finding balance between the extremes, from Atkins to vegan, carnivore to herbivore. The debate over what humans should eat has been a controversial subject for decades and an issue of morality for millennia. The oldest arguments for a plant-based diet go as far back as the oldest world religions, many of which, such as Hinduism, presented arguments for a vegetarian diet. The issue has evolved as our understanding of human physiology has progressed and as supplements have become more readily available for the general public. Veganism as a dietary choice was popularized in 1944 by Donald Watson, who took the first 3 letters and the last 2 letters from the word vegetarian to form the word vegan, which he saw as the beginning and end of vegetarian. While vegetarians vary in their choices of animals and animal products to eat, such as whether eggs are appropriate or even fish and poultry, veganism is a more extreme form of vegetarianism that is not only a diet but a lifestyle choice which attempts to, in all ways possible, avoid the use of animal products. For many, the issue of animal exploitation even leads them to avoid the use of products such as honey due to the fact that bees are routinely killed in the process of making it. Although morality is a large factor in the choice of becoming vegan or any diet, many advocates also attempt to prove through scientific means that Homo sapiens as an animal is not designed to be a meat eater, period, and the fact that we can digest meat doesn't necessarily imply that we must in order to survive or even to be healthy. On the other hand, advocates of high-protein, mostly meat diets cite their own evidence to back up their claims. Here I will examine the facts and attempt to show that while both sides have very valid points, they both are lacking in nearly total denial of the other. This is where the case for omnivorism comes in. Omnivorism is the ability to eat and digest both plant and animal matter. Where proponents of Atkins-type diets claim that we are primarily carnivores with the ability to eat plant matter, and vegans claim we are primarily herbivores, I will attempt to show that we do indeed fall into the omnivore category, and it is, in fact, much healthier for us to live as omnivores than to choose an unnecessary extreme. The human body: carnivore, omnivore, or herbivore. In terms of basic physiology, there are indications that as an animal we are designed to eat plants. Yet there are also indications that we are designed for eating animals. Here I will discuss both sides of this argument by reducing the human body to individual components to examine their purpose. Teeth. Human teeth are interesting in that not only do we have flat molars and a jaw which can move sideways, but we also have canines and sharp incisors in the front of our mouths. Herbivores have flat molars and a sideways moving jaw for the purpose of grinding and mashing vegetation. But the presence of canine teeth is significant because in most other species with canines they are used to hold and tear meat. In addition, the size of our canines is significant. Vegan enthusiasts point out that our canines are very small compared to the fangs of many carnivores and are not necessarily meant to serve the same purpose. However, it is theorized that the size of our teeth is dictated by the size of our already relatively large head and brain. There simply wouldn't be enough room in our mouths for large fangs. The fact that we have both types of teeth is a significant indication that we are meant to eat both plants and animals. Eye placement. Another attribute of our physiology shows an indication that we are primarily predators, namely the placement of our eyes. In most herbivores, the eyes are placed on the sides of the head in order to have a wider range of vision for potential predators. Carnivores usually have forward-facing eyes, which is helpful in tracking and focusing on prey, and is necessary for depth perception. The debate over our diet often logically turns toward our digestive tract, and again there is heated argument on both sides. People who believe we are herbivores point to the fact that most carnivores have very short, straight intestines, which is efficient for processing meat quickly so it doesn't begin to rot. Herbivores have much more complex digestive systems that were evolved to break down much more complex plant matter, such as cellulose, something which humans cannot digest. Although it is true that the human digestive tract is not as short as the average carnivore, it is also not nearly as complex as many herbivores, such as cows who must ruminate and have multiple chambers in their stomach. Humans have stomachs with a single chamber, similar to most carnivores. We also have very acidic stomach acid, which is helpful in breaking down meat quickly. Another argument presented against humans as carnivores is that humans lack what are generally considered natural methods of killing, namely claws, powerful muscles, speed, or large amounts of very sharp teeth. Although not as apparent, humans have some distinctive traits that set us apart from many other animals, and also explain a great deal of our physiology. In a study of the Kalahari Bushmen, it was discovered that they partake in an ancient method of hunting called persistence hunting. As an animal, it seems that we are nearly perfectly designed for running over very long distances in the heat. Many of our traits that have puzzled us make perfect sense when seen in this light. Compared to our nearest cousins, the apes, we have some stark physiological differences. For example, humans have very little body hair. We stand on two legs. We lack great bulky muscles or extended arms, and our feet are poorly designed for life in the trees. It turns out all of these traits are ideal for long-distance running after prey on a savanna or grasslands. Little body hair allows us to sweat efficiently through our skin instead of our mouths, the tongue being a much smaller surface area than the skin. 2 legs are much more efficient than 4 in terms of energy spent over a distance. Our lack of large muscles makes us leaner and faster, and even our feet are designed for distance, as our toes fan out to help balance us as we run. The method of persistence hunting relies on our ability to run for hours in pursuit of prey, such as antelope, where the animal literally collapses from exhaustion. At this point, there would be no need for fangs or claws, as the animal has died on its own. With this knowledge, we cannot simply mark off humans as potential carnivores due to our lack of sharp and pointy body parts. These traits also point out that we are not designed to primarily be herbivores. Our heads are far from the ground, which indicates we are not meant for grazing. Most herbivores have built-in traits that allow them to flee or fend off predators. Because 2 legs are slower than 4 in short distances, we are not able to quickly flee potential predators. In addition, we do not possess traits such as bulky muscles or natural armor that allow us to easily fend off predators. All things considered, we appear to be much better designed for hunting than for grazing. Part 2. Why both meat and plants are essential to our health. Why is meat important? Of the 3 macronutrients, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, carbohydrates are the only one of the 3 that the human body can live without. Deprived of a source of fat and protein, the human body would slowly die. However, the body can obtain everything it needs from these 2 macronutrients and does not require carbohydrates. In diets where carbohydrates are consumed, the human body uses glucose, which is blood sugar, the simplest carbohydrate, for nearly all of its energy needs. The brain demands a constant stream of glucose or it begins to malfunction. However, when the body is deprived of carbohydrates, it is able to begin breaking down protein and fats into ketones, which it can then use for the same functions as it used carbohydrates. Ketones are known to drastically increase metabolic efficiency while decreasing production of free radicals, the damaging byproducts of normal metabolism. The heart and brain operate 25% more efficiently using ketones as a source of energy, which makes sense because when the human body goes into starvation mode, it must become more efficient as it breaks down fats and muscle for energy. Though they are few, there are cultures that have diets almost entirely based on animals. One example is the indigenous peoples of the northern Arctic regions, whose traditional winter diet is completely devoid of carbohydrates, as plants cannot grow in the harsh climate. However, in the summer they do consume plant matter, but the proportion is still very small compared to their fat and protein intake. This goes to show that the human body is capable of surviving on a carnivorous diet. In the book Nutrition and Physical Degeneration by Winston Price, the author traveled the world studying the traditional diets of indigenous peoples and comparing their health before and after the entrance of European foods such as white flour and sugar. One very notable excerpt from his book was the fact that while he found great diversity among the various diets, he could not find a single culture anywhere in the world that subsisted entirely off of plant matter. In addition, there are various key nutrients that must be obtained from animal sources. One example is the omega-3s. These fatty acids are absolutely essential to all parts of the human body, but especially the brain. Among other things, they are responsible for coating the neurons of the brain and helping in nerve transmission. Because of its effects in the brain, a lack of omega-3s has been indicated in many common neurological disorders, including depression. This knowledge has resulted in a plethora of so-called health foods advertising their high omega-3 content. Usually the omega-3s they are boasting about come from flaxseed. What is not commonly understood is that while flaxseed does contain omega-3s, they come in the form ALA. The forms the body requires are EPA and DHA. In some groups of humans, the ability to convert ALA to EPA and DHA does exist, but the ratio of conversion is still very small, at approximately 5%. In other words, for the few people that can convert it at all, they still only receive a tiny fraction of the omega-3s their body consumes. For the majority of people, fish is by far the best option for obtaining omega-3s as it contains them already in the EPA and DHA forms. This also helps explain why statistically those cultures who eat the most fish have substantially lower rates of depression, and why fish has been a staple diet throughout humanity. Vitamin B12 is another key nutrient that must be obtained through animal products. We must obtain vitamin B12 from our diet, yet no form of vegetation produces it. It must be obtained through the consumption of either animals or supplements. If it must be obtained through eating meat, this is a great indication of the necessity of meat to our survival. Now that we understand the importance of meat in our diet, let's look at plants. Why is vegetation an important part of our diet? While carbohydrates are not necessary as a fuel source, fruits and vegetables are full of vitamins, minerals, and fiber, along with phytochemicals, some of which have been claimed to have antioxidant, antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, and anticarcinogenic properties. Plants are important to the human body for the fact that they are able to balance the human body's level of acidity. While animal products acidify the body, fruits and vegetables provide an alkaline buffer. When the body becomes too acidic, there are many medical conditions that can result, such as the formation of kidney stones or loss of bone density as calcium is pulled from bone and excreted from the body. However, an over-alkaline body has its own detrimental effects, such as poor digestion as stomach acid is not strong enough to digest food. In our diet, animal products and vegetation both have obvious benefits, and when eaten together appear to give us our greatest health.